another episode of S&P?
I'm ready for as many episodes of S&P as we can cram into our schedule. I love doing our S&P episodes. We have a Super Bowl one today, don't we?
Yes, we do. So, but first, I'm Song. I'm the S of the S&P. I am the NAI Events and Engagement Manager, and as always with me is...
I am your NAI Deputy Director. P is for Paul. I'm happy to be here on S&P with you, Song. How are things?
Things are good. It's so, I am in Utah and Paul's at the headquarters in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I will say air quality is something to be desired over this last summer. Lots of, lots of fires blazing across the West, and it's very dry here as well. But that kind of brings us full circle to this episode. We partner with a lot of really cool folks. One of our members is Agents of Discovery, and they do some really great partnering with other agencies and organizations. And we, again, full circle, we'll be talking to Amtchat Edwards of the Forest Service and Misty Mitchell of the Johnny Morris Foundation. But bringing this full circle because of forest fires, and Paul, only you can prevent forest fires.
It's true. And I didn't know this until we set this all up. We are celebrating Smokey Bear's 75th birthday. Even though
76.
Well, okay, but we're celebrating the 75th because it's a round number, even though he's actually 76. So we're not really, this is like the whole it's my second 75th birthday, right? So Smokey's doing one of these things, but we are, because it's been 75 years of Smokey Bear, we get to celebrate Smokey Bear with the Forest Service. So let's go ahead, let's bring in Misty and Amtchat to talk about this. And I gotta change my shirt real quick and run to my kitchen, and I'll be right there with you.
Okay, holding. All right, well, welcome Misty and Amtchat. Thank you so much for joining us today on S&P. Misty, why don't you tell us, you are the Director of Conservation for the Johnny Morris Foundation?
Yeah, so I work out of Springfield, Missouri, and I work for Johnny Morris Foundation. And Johnny Morris is the founder of Bass Pro Shops. So he's considered one of the leading conservationists. They compare him to Teddy Roosevelt. And we are really empowered to teach kids in the next generation about conservation and really educating them on how to use our natural resources.
Awesome. And Amtchat, you are no stranger to the National Association for Interpretation. In fact, you and Paul I've seen pictures of you at baseball games together.
Well, and the stuff that's not pictured is even better. So, it's Amtchat's been an integral part of NAI for a while, for sure.
Fantastic. Yes. Hey, everybody. Amtchat Edwards, education specialist with the United States Forest Service. I'm in our Washington office, which means I get to work for a little bit for everybody. And that's the Washington on the East Coast, the DC, and out the Washington State. Just want to be clear for the record. And not that I really need to clear it up too much, but since we're being factually accurate, it was a hockey game. It was my very first hockey game that you saw me hanging out with Paul.
That was, Amtchat and I met at the first timers meeting. Amtchat was attending and I was directing, because I had been with NAI for, probably 10, 12 years at that point. It was at the conference in Denver. And we went to a Colorado Avalanche game with a couple other NAI members. And then, I've had the pleasure of knowing Amtchat ever since then. So, I'm going to have to drop that photo into this, into the video here.
I think you might have to. So, it is summertime, and I here in Utah, it's been very smoky because of lots of wildfires around. Currently, South Tahoe is blazing right now, so it's very smoky. So speaking of smoky, we're going to talk and fractional, corrections. For the record, Amtchat, tell us, is it Smokey the Bear or Smokey Bear?
What fun to open up with that question. So his name is Smokey Bear. And there comes a little bit of confusion because there's a famous song where we hear the term Smokey the Bear. And that was a piece of art that was needed to keep the timing, you know, how important music is. But then people started to think that that was his name, Smokey the Bear. It's actually Smokey, last name Bear.
And this episode is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Song the Stott.
You're welcome. So, getting kids outside, getting people outside, obviously, we've all been reading that the, national parks, state parks have just been overflowing with folks visiting, which is such a great thing. But at the same time, there needs to be some education, right, about properly enjoying the outdoors. And I grew up with Smokey Bear. And the PSA announcements on public television, and he just turned 75, right? He just had his 75th birthday. And so kind of tell us a little bit about his kind of the history and leading up to what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, fantastic. All right. So it is very important to recreate responsibly. We want you to connect to your public lands. We want you to enjoy the outdoors, of course. That's always important. And Smokey Bear's message has been consistent for the past 76 years. This is part 2 of his 75th birthday celebration.
I do birthdays that way.
Yeah, let's keep them celebrating all the time. Keep on learning, laughing, having fun. Yeah. So Smokey Bear first came about because of a need to help educate people in their role in protecting our public lands from wildfire. And so the message has been consistent, is that only you can help prevent wildfires. And so it reminds us that 9 out of 10 wildfires are human caused, and they are not the natural occurrences that happen. And so by Smokey's message, he helps you to remember how to properly extinguish a fire, how to be safe with fire, in an effort to reduce human caused wildfire.
Awesome.
Are those stats still the same as they were 70 years ago? 9 out of 10?
That statistic is, if you round it off, there's always a little bit of margin for a rounding error. You know, we could take it to 8.75, but we like to say 9 out of 10 because it still fits. And there's a big difference between waking up to a smoky, ashy morning, like you might be waking up to out west, their song, and waking up to a cool, misty morning. I didn't see what I did there, Misty. That was for you. Anything that we can do to help reduce those catastrophic wildfires, those just out of control, that's what we really want to do, because there is a difference between a good fire and a bad fire. Sometimes we do prescribed burns, which is not part of what Smoky actually does, but we're the Forest Service and we manage our lands in lots of different ways. And sometimes we do prescribed fires in order to get down the amount of fuels that are available if a wildfire gets out and gets raging. But Smoky's message has been consistent for you. When you're done with your fire, drown it, stir it, and then drown it again. Make sure it's actually out cold before you leave it. So that's what we can do as every day when I'm not wearing my uniform. That's what I'm doing outside in my yard, making sure my fire is completely out, and asking you to do the same.
Well, and so Amtchat, you're talking about Smokey's message, and obviously the message has remained consistent over 76 years, and that's a secret I didn't realize, that this is actually 76. Smokey's lying about his age, so that's that's not uncommon, I guess. But the methods of conveying that message have obviously changed quite a bit. And Misty, I know that you are integrally involved with getting that message out there. So can you tell us about what your role is in this process?
Yeah, so it's so important to educate everybody, and in this day and age, it's digital. All kids have cell phones with them everywhere you go. No matter what we want to do, we want to get them off their cell phones, but they're not going to. So what we can do now is we can educate them through the digital technology. And that way we can reach millions of people across the United States, where originally we were just reaching the people within our organization and that were coming to our facilities, you know, whether they were going to a Forest Service land or national park. Now we can reach them at our homes and on that technology that they're using. And I think that's the key part of kind of where we're going. And as much as we want kids to get outdoors and we want them to enjoy the outdoors, we're going to have to reach them with this, and they all have it. And then hopefully from there, we've educated them to then do great stewards of our land. And I think that's what's important about this is, you know, with the help of the Forest Service, you know, we have been working with Agents of Discovery, and that is a platform that is it's an app. We have an app that you can then download and play augmented reality games. And who doesn't love games? You guys like games? How many of you get on your phone and play games and you want to level up and you want new coins and all of those things you collect? Kids love those things. And that's what this does. So we engage those kids at their level.
So Misty, I like what you said about reaching kids where they are. You know, again, I mentioned I grew up with Smokey Bear on the PBS stations and the PSA announcements and the posters. And so reaching them before they even come to your site or you know, light that campfire while they're camping, they already are starting to kind of understand the importance of recreating safely and consciously. So when you have your outdoor programs or in classroom programs, like how do you utilize this app to teach about conservation?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Not only can we reach them at home prior to the program, but then also during the program. So you can create these digital scavenger hunt. You guys remember, you ever went to an aquarium or zoo during your school days and you had a paper scavenger hunt? You had to find all of these really cool things and everybody really enjoyed that. So we've taken that the next step. So now we're using your digital technology that kids are all, you know, they're technology natives. You know, none of us are technology natives. We've had to learn to use technology, but we're not that native like they are. So using that technology at our locations, and so they can actually scan a flower or scan a tree and learn more about that tree while they're there on site through a digital platform and a game. So not only are we educating them at home before they get there, when they come, using that technology. You guys remember Pokemon Go? And the craze and all these people were getting outdoors. Well, it's using the Pokemon Go technology and having, you know, fish swim through the forest with you while you're standing there, but using it in an educational way. And that's the key is Pokemon Go got kids outdoors, but it wasn't educating them. So we want everybody to recreate responsibly. And that's the number one key for this is the more education we give them, the better off we're going to be to have them being responsible in our Forest Service and be in our national parks. And we're seeing more people outdoors. I mean, Amtchat, the numbers of people getting outdoors is super high. We see it all over, but we need to educate them so they'll be responsible outdoors.
Amtchat, you've been in interpretation for a while, as we discussed earlier on. And so this obviously has changed the way you do your job. What would you say are the biggest, you know, modifications you've had to make to how you deliver messages, you know, on the ground or through digital technology?
Interesting. So one of the things I really love about interpretation is that it moves from learning and then encourages some sort of action or future concept. And so all of that does continue and convey, even though our world of work has changed, right? So I just want to acknowledge that we're moving from learning into doing something, right? What we're finding right now is we don't get to stand up in front of as many groups and crowds as we used to be able to, right? We just have to, we're either putting physical space between us or we're just not staffing in the same way that we were. We don't have that same public interaction. And so this piece of technology has allowed us to create a mission, a lesson, and it kind of acts like it'll almost hold your hand, Paul. So if you're on that site, it'll hold your hand and say, hey, come look at this thing over here. Come check this out. And so we're still doing the same kind of high quality work, but this is a new tool that we've been using in order to help almost replicate ourselves. And so the way that it's changing is we have to watch our audience, our users, whether they're coming to our forests, or I actually have a mission that's down near the Washington monuments. It's a Forest Service mission that runs alongside an urban street, and I'm watching the people as they are moving down the road, and you can tell who's playing the game because they stop and they check out the edible herb gardens in front of our office building, whereas normally these folks are just passing by. So how are we changing? We're watching our users and finding what is it that gets them excited. What are they missing? Where can we move them to? Where can we divert traffic to? All by the technology, because it's right there in their hand. It's a little bit more interactive than a sign on the side of the road. But again, the principles are still the same. We have not strayed away from what's really important, which is educating, engaging, trying to tell those stories, whether they be a sense of place around the history of the ground that they're standing on. So again, all the fundamentals are still there, and we're just kind of emphasizing on the fun part of the fundamentals.
We love fundamentals, don't we, Paul?
We sure do. We sure do. Because we have a fundraiser that we've been doing for our student scholarships. So we're huge fans of all things fun.
Oh, I love it. Can I jump back one quick second? I would love to put in a tiny plug. We know that lots and lots more folks are coming out to our public lands. We actually started a campaign last year, and it continues. It's called Be Outdoor Safe. So if you're okay with putting that on the screen for us, beoutdoorsafe.org has a lot of other different things that you can learn. You can go and check that out, because we, of course, are encouraging you to come onto the outdoors. They're your public lands. So come and enjoy them. And there's a few simple guidelines on how you can help protect the public lands as you go out and enjoy them. Smokey Bear's message is a part of what we're doing to maintain our public lands, but there are also other messages at beoutdoorsafe.org.
What are you hoping, both of you collectively, how are you hoping to change the world through interpretation using this different kind of technology?
In 30 seconds or less.
Misty, do you want to go first?
Well,
I'm kidding.
I'm hoping to spark the imagination. So spark them and intrigue them to want to learn more. So give them just a spark to then want to go out and save turtles or protect a wildlife area, whatever that is that they're interested in.
I was kidding about the 30 seconds or less, by the way. So if you had more, Misty, you could go.
And by spark, you also mean put that out.
Yes, exactly. We're lighting different kinds of fires.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Amtchat, how about you? What are you hoping that not just children, right, but any user using this technology, what are you hoping that they then go home and do?
Sweet. So I'm gonna give two. There's lots and lots, but in order to honor the 30-second shot clock I was given, the first is not a spoiler alert, but the first is to get kids engaged, having fun and learning actual tangible skills. So one of the elements that you can play in the game, there's a 3D version of what are the sequences for properly putting out your fire. Like, kids are playing it in real life in 3D. They're looking through their phone and like putting out the fire in proper sequence, right? So that's one, is I want you to learn things that you can then take home with you and share with your family and friends and keep us all safe, right? That's one. That's huge, because even just preventing one human-caused wildfire affects lots and lots of people. So thank you right there, right? Oh. And then the second one that I'm hoping to see is that we understand that our public lands and connecting to the outdoors so much more than just right now. So in a lot of our missions that we've created through the game, we're starting to have a follow-up note that goes, hey, that skill that you just learned, did you know that there are actually careers, scientists like our forest ecologists actually use this information. So we're tying what they're learning in now to help them understand that there are careers and fields of study to keep them excited and chase their passions and find ways to give back to the land. So that's my big hope, is that we recognize more than just today, but for forever and ever.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Amtchat and Misty. That's fantastic. Before we go, Misty, can you tell us where we can find this message and where we can go play this game our own selves?
It's a great question, Paul. So the first thing they can do is actually download the Agents of Discovery app from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. And from there, it actually will pull up any of the locations that you can play on site that are near your home. But the best place to find all of our online missions that you can play everywhere, all over the world, is to go to wondersofwildlife.org/missions-conservation. And we'll have that down there at the bottom of the page here. And you can find all of our missions. And we have missions every single month. So right now we have a mission about forest. We have Smokey Bear mission. And we have a really cool new mission that Amtchat, you want to tell us about our new mission?
Oh, gladly. One of the new ones is about a fellow interpreter. Actually, I don't know if he has interpreter in his business card, but he is. Woodsy Owl. Woodsy Owl's message has always been lend a hand, care for the land. So we can learn things, but then it's also encouraging us to actually go out and practice those principles of conservation. So yeah, there's a new mission on Woodsy Owl, which you'll find on the website. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, you can learn more about his message of conservation. And this marks Woodsy's 50th anniversary or birthday of his campaign. So for 50 years, he's been spreading that same message: lend a hand, care for the land.
Awesome. I always got him and the Tootsie Pop Owl confused. I don't know why.
They do look alike, Song. You're
actually relatives. I don't know. But
Woodsy Owl is he's kind of the Scottie Pippen to Michael Jordan, though. He's always been sort of living in the shadow and
of Smokey's shadow.
He's living in Smokey's shadow, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that Woodsy has his own platform to really get him out there in front of the public.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, their message are both important. Smokey says, hey, let's be careful and not burn it down. Woodsy says everything else around how to protect it, enjoy it, and use it. So they're a team, a dynamic duo, for sure.
They're a dynamic duo. Well, thank you so much, you two, for joining us on S&P and telling us about your projects and how we are using interpretation to save the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was super fun and really informative. I think Amtchat is one of my new BFFs.
Totally. It's hard to spend any time with Amtchat and not just come away feeling like that guy's awesome.
Yeah, I will leave us with one fun fact. Did you know that Smokey Bear at some point was getting so much fan mail that he has his own zip code?
What do you know what it is? What is Smokey Bear's zip code?
20252.
20252. That's amazing. Smokey Bear has a zip code. That is, I mean, talk about life goals, right? Like having your own zip code.
Right.
Well, I hope everyone will go check out the missions on Agents of Discovery, and we appreciate Agents of Discovery and all the support they give to NAI and our programs and our conferences. And we super appreciate the great work that the Forest Service is out there doing to prevent forest fires, and all of the other great missions that Agents is taking on.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this episode of S&P, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
What if technology could bring us closer to nature? What if we could replace a barrier with a gateway? What if we could inspire the next generation of conservationists through curriculum-focused missions and challenges that meet state and national learning standards? Mission Conservation is an award-winning augmented reality learning platform powered by Harvard University's Encyclopedia of Life. It offers a new dimension of experiential learning for students of all ages and abilities. And for the first time, educators can now easily quantify student engagement and academic progress during a field experience with detailed reports. Experience the world's largest and most immersive wildlife attraction in an entirely new way. Agents, your mission has arrived.